I'm here with Aaron Jones from Allianz. Aaron, when you were just up here talking about strategic intelligence, you created or drew a very, very interesting distinction between strategic intelligence and intelligence. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, intelligence, there's no shortage of companies that are looking into the market and looking at competitors and trying to understand the things that they're doing.
Right.
That's just intelligence. We often look at that in parallel to the decision-making in the organization, right? And we're doing it really just to convince ourselves that the decisions we already made were the right ones to make.
Right.
Strategic intelligence is really embedding that information, those insights into the strategic planning process.
Right.
So using them to inform the decisions that we make,
Right.
using them to determine where we invest our capital, how we invest, allocate resources, people, money to different strategic initiatives, being more proactive about the intelligence as opposed to being confirmatory with the intelligence.
And then following that thread, Aaron, you talked a little bit about the organizational maturity that it seems like is required to actually rely on the data, that strategic intelligence to make those decisions. What are some of the mechanisms that you've been using to drive that maturity?
Yeah, I mean, Allianz Life is a 150 plus year old company, right? Any company of that age has a lot of tenure, has legacy, systems. It has an infrastructure that challenges, I think, change, right? That's just a normal occurrence of any company, to be honest. To really enact change with strategic intelligence, it involves a lot of stakeholder engagement. It's just an inordinate amount of collaboration required.
Sure.
If you take intelligence to your executives at the last minute without having aligned the stakeholders, then getting alignment from the executives is extremely unlikely.
In real time, right?
That should be just a formality,
Right.
Because everybody else should be locking arms, the actuaries, the finance, strategy, marketing, etc., because we all agree that we are looking at the right signals, we are interpreting them correctly, and we're believing we know what the right priority is.
Right.
And then you take that to leadership, and then enables that more simpler decision-making process.
More conversational, I imagine.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now, you just talked a little bit about signals with all of the data that's available. And we always talk about how in this industry, we're data rich and information poor. How do we cut through all of the different signals? How do we identify the signal through that noise?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There's so much noise. That's the beauty and the curse of AI, I think, at this point, and the internet, maybe more broadly. We tend to look at when do we make decisions in an organization? There's a strategic planning cycle. The proximity of something that we see in the market or with a competitor to when we need to make the decision will help determine whether or not it's something that we should be focusing on with a sense of urgency. If it's something that there's multiple other signals that are reinforcing, like if it's just one little blip on the radar, it's like maybe that's a big deal, maybe that's not, let's just kind of sit back. When we see multiple things aligning and it's like, okay, there's something to this. The more you see and the more reinforcing trends that may be not directly related,
Right.
but still supportive of that phenomenon. Maybe it's a distribution phenomenon or a product one or certain competitor actions. When all that converges and we see that, it's like, okay, that's something that we need to pay attention to.
Right. So having that instrumentation is key. So Aaron, I really appreciate all the time. This is a fantastic, very, very insightful panel. Thank you so much for your time.
My pleasure.